everybody, it's Thursday, October 24th, 2024. Welcome to the NFL Fantasy Football Show, where we're cruising like John Madden. It's me, your man, MG Marcus Grant, joined by Michael F. Florio. And we are in the Madden Cruiser, the actual bus. This is pretty sweet.
This is dope. In my head, though, I know I said this earlier, like, this is where John Madden lived in my head. Like, he has slept on this couch. He has played Madden over there. Like, this is amazing.
Except, like, Madden was a large man. Like, this couch is, like, I don't know that I could sleep on this couch. Unless it pulls
like the
out.
Michael Scott couch.
Yeah,
like you gotta...
I don't think it pulls out, but yeah, no, this would be great. Plenty of TVs. Obviously, there is Madden hooked up. You can come in and play here. Very excited, very fortunate to be able to do a show from here today.
Yeah, I mean, I walked up and I was like, oh my God. Like, I took a picture outside of it. Like, it's got his face on it. This is dope.
Yeah, absolutely dope. So thank you to the folks at EA for letting us come crash in here for a little bit and do the show here. Of course, it is a Thursday. We have our top calls for the week, so we'll go through those. But let's start with a couple of headlines. The first one, because we are just a few hours away from the start of Week 8 and Thursday Night Football. The Vikings and Rams are going to play at SoFi Stadium, literally just behind us here in the Madden bus. And it looks like, now we're waiting for inactives to be out to find out officially, but it looks like Puka Nacua could play. Combine that with Cooper Kupp, who is expected to play tonight. So the Rams are going to have their top two receivers back in this offense. I think with Kupp, I think we've sort of already decided that he's playing for the Rams. He's playing for you. Puka's a bit of a different situation. Hasn't played since week 1. Hasn't really gotten any practice time in. If Puka goes, would you feel comfortable putting him in a lineup?
It's a little bit more depending on your options. Unlike Cooper Kupp, who we agree on is if he plays, which he is going to, you get him in your lineup. But Puka could be on a snap count. Like we said, I have a lot of people who have sent me questions like, why would they do this? Why would they not wait 10 more days to give Puka full time to rest? And the truth is, this game is very important for the Rams. There's a big difference of being 3-4, especially in the NFC West right now, compared to 2-5. So you could make an argument that their season is on the line tonight. But even so, like, I have Puka on a number of teams, and like, I think I'd play him over someone like Khalil Shakir, which is one of my options. But if you've gone by this far and you feel good about the options you have in place, I think it's okay then to take it safe.
And I think that's the thing, too, because this week, weirdly in Week 8, there are no teams on a bye. So you have your full complement of players, obviously injury players notwithstanding, but you have your full roster available to you. You have figured out how to survive this long without Puka Nacua. I'm kind of with you that I think I would wait and see a little bit, because who knows how much of a snap count he might be on this week, how many targets he's going to get. Although I will say this, the great Ian Hartitz had a wonderful tweet about it. It's something to the effect of, if you start Puka, expect him to be on a limited snap count with very few targets. If you sit him, expect him to go for 120 and 2 touchdowns.
It's something where, like, I have Puka on, say, like 3 or 4 of my fantasy teams. I'm going to get him in at least one lineup just in case. Just because if that happens and I sit him in every league, I'm going to hate myself. At least if I start him in one, if he doesn't come through, it's like, okay, I only started him in one. But if he does, it's like, all right, I could still enjoy this and benefit from this.
I knew I took advantage of at least one league. Exactly there. Other bit of news, and this one's sort of been floating out there for a couple of days, but I think we can talk about it officially now. Jamison Williams is going to be suspended for 2 games for violating the league's performance-enhancing substances policy. It's a thing that's kind of been out there. Dan Campbell has sort of been talking about it a little bit. Now Jamison Williams has put out a statement about it. So it looks like the Lions aren't going to appeal it. I think they just sort of want to get this over with and get it past it. Yeah. So we know it looks like for at least 2 games, no Jamison Williams. This week they play the Titans, but they should be able to win. The week after is the Packers, which is a bit of a tougher matchup for them. I guess the easy question for you is, does this mean something for my Sam Laporta shares now?
Yeah, I think it does. Like, I will not lie. I wrote up Sam Laporta as a sit this week, was all ready for that. And then reports of this came out Monday night, and I was like, okay, I have to change this because the whole thing with Sam Laporta has been Jamison Williams is the number 2 target on this team. He is getting more first read opportunities than Sam Laporta. Like, it is clear that Jamison, they think he's better than Sam Laporta, I think. And he's better for this offense. But with him out of it now, it starts to look a lot like it did last season, in my opinion, where Sam Laporta is the number 2 option now. He's the number 2 option for sure in the red zone. So I think you throw out the first 7 weeks with Sam Laporta and you say, okay, if it's a chance that it could look like last season, I need to take that shot in fantasy and I need to get him in my lineup. So I changed him from a sit to a start just based off of this news.
Yeah, when you look at the sort of the air yards distribution of this Lions offense, it's not a ton of deep shots to Jamison Williams. Like, they have certainly taken some shots downfield with him, but a lot of short intermediate throws. He leads the team in yards after catch. They're just using that dynamic ability as much as they can. The problem is where he's getting a lot of those targets. That's where Sam Laporta was getting a lot of his opportunities last year. So for all of us, I'm raising my hand, who drafted Sam Laporta, who have been utterly frustrated by him getting 1 or 2 catches a game, and that's it. At least for the next couple of weeks, I think there's a chance for him to get on the, not to get on the field, he's on the field a ton, to get more looks from Jared Goff in this offense. Any other Lions receivers that you'd be interested in over the next couple of weeks?
No, not unless we see it first. Right. I'm not going to be going out there throwing like second, third options on the passing attack here, because we have seen the targets for the other guys really week to week, kind of whoever's getting open, the matchup and stuff. But look, I pulled up NFL Pro. They have this as a 5-star. 5 stars is the most you could get for almost every type of passing, deep passes, quick passes, short passes, all of that against this Titans offense. So yeah, I think this is a week where you could feel good about Laporta. You could feel good about Amon-Ra, the running backs there, Jared Goff. But after that, it has to be like a deep league.
Yeah, so don't go throwing Khalif Raymond into lineups this week, folks, is sort of what we're going with for this thing. All right, let's get into some of our Week 8 predictions. Let's start off with Club Dub, the guys' non-quarterback edition, who will be the top scorer this week. And you got one in a game that could really be a back and forth contest between the Eagles and the Bengals, a couple of good offenses against a couple of kind of shaky defenses.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. Not only do I think that I have AJ Brown, who I think is amazing. He has had a touchdown in all 3 games, at least 89 yards in every game. He's gone for over 19 fantasy points in all. He was someone that before the year I was hyping up, like, I'd rather have this guy than Justin Jefferson and stuff. And I feel vindicated because when he's been on the field, he has been the best wide receiver in fantasy this season. But the Bengals, like you said, they can be had. They give up a lot of big plays, and they will score points, though, and they have a very good offense of their own with firepower. So if the Eagles, unlike their last games where they're winning like 20-17 and stuff, if this is one of those more higher scoring games, we're going to see them have to keep their foot on the gas. And Hurts to A.J. Brown, despite only playing 3 games, lead the league in deep touchdowns. So I think it is possible that we get 2 of those this week. And my bold prediction is 200 yards for A.J. Brown.
Well, my bold prediction this week has been 200 scrimmage yards for Joe Mixon. So he's the guy that I'm going to go with in this situation against the Indianapolis Colts. Going back to week 1 when these two teams played, Mixon put up 178 scrimmage yards and a touchdown. The Colts defense, to me, hadn't gotten much better than what we saw in week 1. I think they're going to lean on Mixon again. I know a lot of folks have a bounce back for C.J. Stroud. I can certainly see that in the works as well. But I think this is a Texans team that can move up and down the field, can score a lot of points. And when you get to that fourth quarter, you're just trying to grind out clock. I think we see a lot of Mixon in that situation as well. I think it's a huge game for him. Back in that week 1 game, he was the RB2 behind Saquon Barkley. I think he could end up as the RB1, maybe even the top scorer for the week.
That might be his first game as a Texan.
Yeah.
Like, it's only gotten better, too.
He has been a true workhorse for this Texans offense. I mean, it was funny because when he was out, they were trying, a combination of Cam Akers and Dario Ogunbowale. And, now that Mixon is back, Cam Akers isn't even in Houston anymore.
They're like, here's 30 touches.
Right.
We're going to send you out of here, Cam Akers. Sorry. We don't need – I do feel bad for Cam Akers because no one gets, thrown to the curb more than Cam Akers.
I feel like him and Brandon Cook should form a support team, a support group of guys who just keep getting traded all over the place, surprisingly. Our red flags for the week, the players that we are worried about and might try to avoid if possible. Who do you have?
Dak Prescott, who at this point, I keep saying this about Patrick Mahomes, more name than fantasy production. Dak Prescott is quickly falling into that group as well, because you take away that one game against the Ravens where it was pure catch-up mode. They were down 3 scores in the second half, and he was just throwing a ton. Outside of that game, Dak is averaging 12 fantasy points per game. That is really bad, for a fantasy quarterback, not just telling it like it is. And then he gets a matchup that is really tough against the 49ers, who Twice this year, they have allowed 13 or more fantasy points to a quarterback. So you have a quarterback averaging 12 points per game, a defense who routinely gives up less than 13. That is such a low floor when you're talking about a fantasy quarterback. They've allowed the 8 passing touchdowns, and they have 8 interceptions in 7 games. Like, you watch this 49ers team very closely every week. They are just not giving up production through the air.
Yeah, I mean, the secondary has been great. Getting Talanoa Hufanga back has been a big deal. Malik Mustafa has been a really nice player. I know they keep showing him getting run over at the goal line by Mahomes. That's a different situation. All right, we're not talking about that. But the secondary has been very, very good. You're going to get pressure up front from Nick Bosa and those guys there. So it looks like another tough situation for Dak. For me, I'm going with Alvin Kamara. One, shout out to Kamara, who got paid recently. I just got a contract extension from the Saints. But we also found out, apparently, he's been playing with a broken hand for much of the year.
Would have been nice to know.
Would have been nice to know a little bit. After the first 2 weeks of the season, the Saints offense has been awful. They scored a combined 91 points the first 2 weeks. The rest of the season, a combined 86 points. We've seen Kamara's touches really decline, going from about 24 and a half touches per game after the first 4 weeks to about 16 touches per game the last 3. It's not helping that a couple of their key pieces are missing. It looks like Spencer Rattler is going to be at quarterback again this week for New Orleans. No Rashid Shaheed for the rest of the year. Hopefully Chris Olave is back. That might help a little bit. But this is a Charger defense he's facing this week that has been tough across the board, whether it's against the run or against the pass. I get it if you have to start Alvin Kamara, but I do not like the potential for a good fantasy outcome this week for Kamara.
You talk about that broken hand. They said it happened in the Chiefs game. In his last 3 games, which includes the Chiefs games, his yards per carry and yards per target cut in half.
I don't know. I'm no doctor, but it feels like playing a running back with a broken hand. Not great.
No.
Not
tough to do.
Tough to do. Let's wrap this up with the Snorlax, our favorite Week 8 sleeper. Who do you like?
I love Cade Otton this week. I know I think he's kind of climbed past being a sleeper, but he is still widely available in a lot of leagues. And he was someone that I know you were as well. We were like, hey, take notice of what's going on with Cade Otton in Tampa Bay, because he had an 8-target game. He had a 9-target game. He was consistently sitting around 10 fantasy points, getting utilized a little bit more in the red zone. And then last week happened. He had 10 targets, 100 yards. This wasn't a game where Mike Evans left early, but Chris Godwin played the entire game. It was the very last play for the Bucs that Chris Godwin's season ended. He shouldn't have been out there. But this week now, no Godwin, no Mike Evans. I know we're all excited about Jalen McMillan, but someone else is going to have to step up here. And I think there's a chance that Cade Otton could be the top target for Baker Mayfield this week.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, this is a pass-heavy offense, and Otton, even before the injuries, was the number 3 target in this offense. So volume's certainly going to carry the day. And now without Godwin and Evans there, I think a lot of chances for Cade Otton to keep this thing rolling. For me, it's going to be Javonte Williams, and this is as much a message to fantasy managers as it is to Sean Payton. So look, Javonte. I have said it plenty of times, like, I am a Javonte Williams fan. I want to see him get more opportunities. But even in the relatively limited opportunities he's getting, he really is starting to perform very well, running the football well. I would like to see him get more targets. But we say that about a lot of Broncos players. I mean, we wanted Marvin Mims to get on the field and get more targets, and that doesn't seem to happen because apparently he's not tall enough to ride the Sean Payton offense or something. I don't know. But either way, if you could throw the ball to Javonte, that'd be really nice, but he's running it very, very well. The matchup could not be better against the Carolina Panthers. I don't expect that Carolina is going to score many points with Bryce Young at quarterback against this Broncos defense. So this should lend itself well to the Broncos running the football. I like Williams. I even like Bo Nix as a deep sleeper this week. That's where we are. I told Adam Rank that I have been become a Bo-leaver. He mocked me because I didn't believe earlier.
All you got to do is Bo-leave.
All you got to do is Bo-leave. And so, like, I'm in on Bo Nix. I'm in on Javonte Williams this week. It should be a lot of fun.
I'm with you on Javonte because I think look, it could change, but as of right now, it's been pretty straightforward with Javonte. You play him in good matchups, you get away from him in bad matchups. And like you said, the matchup could not get any better. This
is about as good a matchup as you're going to get for Javonte Williams all season long. All right, there you go. You're in the Madden Cruise. It's a lot of fun. That'll do it, though, for this edition of the NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. Stay happy, safe, and healthy. Do good and live well. Enjoy Week 8, everybody. Enjoy Thursday Night Football, and we will talk to you tomorrow.